Hi, my name is Valeriia Filinovych. I'm an associate professor of the Faculty of Law of National Aviation University. Today, I would like to tell you about the aviation and the cybersecurity threats. So, the development of aviation led to the formation of a modern air transport system which linked states and continents. Air transport has so organically entered our life that we cannot longer imagine our existence without flights. Therefore, the slightest obstacle to the functioning of the airsphere immediately affects the lives of millions of people. For the aviation sector of Ukraine, 2018 has become a landmark year because the passenger traffic of airports in the country for the first time exceeded the mark of 20 million. This growth ensured, first of all, the arrival of serious world low-cost airlines on the Ukrainian aviation market. But with the increase in passengers traffic, the risk for aviation safety in the country have also increased. It's worth mentioning that in 2016-2017, Ukraine encountered powerful cyber attacks. Then, for some time, the work of many organizations, including critical transport infrastructure, was blocked. So, after all, our government finally, like most of the world governments, realized that cyber threats are really dangerous and the role of cybersecurity cannot be underestimated. To begin with, I can say that digitalization in the air transport industry has enabled the relevant entities to provide better services to their customers. At the same time, as it became clear, the level of exposure to threats, especially cyber attacks, also increased. So, for better understanding of the topic, it's important to determine the understanding of the term information security. Please look on the first slide. This concept can be understood from several points of view. For example, as to the International Organization for Standardization, by information security, one should understand the preservation of confidentiality, uprightness, and availability of information. In some cases, other properties such as authenticity, accountability, irrefutability, and reliability may be involved. As for the domestic legislation of Ukraine, according to the law on the basic principles for the development of the information society in 2007-2015, information security is a state of protection of the vital interests of both a person in society and the state as a whole. In such a situation, the harm by providing incomplete, inaccurate, and or untimely information is prevented in every possible way. In addition to providing the specified negative information to the corresponding malicious actions, this regulatory act also includes the negative information impact and the corresponding consequences of the use of information technology, unauthorized distribution, use, and violation of confidentiality, accessibility, the integrity of information. That is, by information security of Ukraine, we mean the corresponding state of security of the information space of our state. While special operations and acts of external aggression with information connotation, unauthorized access, and theft of information through the use of special technical means, cybercrime, and similar destructive actions do not cause tangible dangers to interests of the country. Please look on the next slide. The concept of informational security is inextricably linked with the concept of cybersecurity. What practice knows several concepts of it, but there is no single generally accepted one. For example, such scientists as Schatz, Boschrow, Wall understand by cybersecurity the approach and actions associated with the protection, risk, control processes that institutions and governments adhere to protect the confidentiality, property, and availability of data and assets used in cyberspace. This notion includes all guidelines, strategies, and compilations of protection measures, technologies, tools, and trainings to provide the best protection for the state of the cyber assets and users. Next, I can give you the notion made by Beskrovany and Tatuzov. They assure that cybersecurity is a set of conditions under which all components of cyberspace are protected from the maximum possible number of threats and impacts with undesirable consequences. Also, as to the NIST standard, the concept of cybersecurity can also be defined as the state of security of cyberspace and the ability to prevent a cyber attack in such a space. As to this space, or what is cyberspace, and firstly, why is cybersecurity so important and necessary? Just think, we interact with computers, with computer networks for each day. We work, develop business, build relationship, buy goods, including tickets. With such a heavy reliance on computers, ignoring the likelihood of cybercrime, including in aviation, is extremely risky. Now please look on the screen. Here you can see two versions, two approaches to the cyberspace notion. So by cyberspace, we can understand a global area in the information environment, which includes information systems, independent networks of information infrastructure systems, then telecommunication networks and computer system, and so on. Or we can think about cyberspace as nothing more than a sphere of activity in the information space. And such a sphere was formed by a set of communication channels of the internet and the technological infrastructure responsible for their functioning, as well as the sphere of any forms of human activity carried out through the use of communication channels. So, as I have said, cybersecurity is of great importance nowadays. Please look on the screen. Here you can see the list of most significant cyber attacks in the aviation in the past years. In 2016, for example, cyber attacks from the APT Alf Group got unauthorized access to a defense subcontractor's information system, according to a report by the Australian Cybersecurity Centre. As a result, about 30 gigabytes of data was stolen, which constituted a secret about fighters, submarine aircrafts, and other military transport. It's also worth mentioning how British Airways was fined with 183 million fine in 2018 for a data breach. That time, cyber criminals stole about 500,000 personal data of passengers. This crime was committed by using a fraudulent web resource, and the criminals received information about user data, for example, login, password, payment and card details, full names, addresses, and other information from air tickets. The same year, another air carrier, Cathay Pacific, was also subjected to a cyber attack, as a result of which the personal data of more than 9 million people leaked away. This was information about names, nationality, dates of birth, emails, physical addresses, phone numbers, parts of passport data, and so on. Also, you can see the cyber attack was written with bold type. It was done on 27th of June in 2017. It was done in Ukraine. NotPetya computer virus attacked many organizations that time, many organizations including critical transport infrastructure of Ukraine. For example, I remember how in Boryspil, so it's the main airport of Ukraine, main international airport, that time all their airport tables with different data on departures, it was entered manually by workers of the airport because everything was under virus attack. So this critical transport infrastructure system was blocked, was attacked, and this doesn't mean that only Boryspil was attacked. Also, Odessa Airport and other critical transport infrastructure venues. So now you can understand that for Ukraine, the issue of cyber attacks in the aviation are of great importance. To cut the long story short, let me introduce my recommendations about what should be done because of such bad situation in the cybersecurity sphere in aviation. So, today cybersecurity is one of the key issues in the aviation sector. Airlines and other organizations operating in this area are actively interacting and implementing various methods and technologies to ensure sufficient level of security, both physical and virtual, so I mean digital. For most countries in the world, the air transport sector is a part of the critical infrastructure of the state. Therefore, many governments are also concerned about the implementation of new standards and regulations to address risks in cyberspace. Along with them, industry organizations, such as, for example, IATA, develop relevant initiatives. It is safe to say that today cyber threats in the field of air transport are real and generally recognized. Therefore, both individual organizations and entire states are actively cooperating with the aim of mutual education, with the aim of information and protection in the area under consideration. The exchange of information on security threats through various symposia and conferences, then the organization of special centers for cyber threats, and not only all this is designed to ensure the prompt notification of members of interested groups. The industry has an integrated nature. Accordingly, the approach to security should be aviation-oriented. Namely, it includes assessing and defining business processes and assets of aviation organizations. For example, airports, which will help to highlight the really important and paramount tasks and nuances. But at the same time, one should not forget about the exchange of the obtained results, which will help ensure higher accuracy. The world community is faced with the need to develop a system of coordinated measures and different special decision-making procedure for ensuring the protection of the global aviation industry system from cyber attacks. It's important not only to implement such actions, but also to learn how to successfully combine them with periodic acts to protect the components of aviation cyberspace from external influences. Mandatory, in my opinion, in the application of ICAO recommended practices as well as harmonization of the national legislation with international principles and standards in the field of cybersecurity. The resolution of cybersecurity issues in the civil aviation sector requires a concerted effort by all players in the airspace sector. I can safely say that high quality, effective, and reliable protection against cyber attacks in aviation should become a strategic priority for both the world community and the national security of each individual state. So, thank you for your attention. Please, if you have any question, don't hesitate to ask me. For this, you can contact me by the email you see on the screen. So, thank you.